Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Ben, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ben.
And
Good evening.
welcome to our first attempt at a podcast. Hopefully it's not horrible.
Oh, it's gonna be.
It'll be a bit rough, but we'll sort it.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up, boys? There's your explicit tag, Ben. Alright, cool. So we're calling this podcast The Graveyard Broadcast, and it's going to be the three of us trying to spook each other with some spooky stories. I guess I'm Bran Reid, and these are my two gorgeous co-hosts.
James Averna.
Ben Ellt.
Cool. So today I'm going to be telling a story about a cold case from the 1940s, and I'm going to be running through some theories of what might have happened with ties to like witchcraft, maybe devil worshipping, maybe some Nazi spies.
Ooh.
What are you boys doing?
Dropping my iPad. That's
Beautiful.
what I'm doing.
On a
Yeah.
very lovely roof.
Gorgeous as always. I'm going to be
Correct.
talking about accidents at theme parks.
I'm going to be dropping my iPad a few times.
Thanks to Disney World opening its doors again, I want to talk about theme park disasters.
Yeah, yours sounds a lot better than mine. I'm talking about some blind girl that gets punished by her father when she talks to ghosts.
Ooh.
All right.
So we're from Melbourne,
Just a
Australia.
regular Tuesday night for you.
We're from Melbourne, Australia, so we're currently on lockdown, so we have to record from our own homes, and it could be very rough, but hopefully it goes well. Want to jump straight into it?
Yeah, let's
Who's
go.
going first?
Sure,
You
let's
should
do
start.
it.
I'm starting. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so my story takes place in Hagley Wood, which is a part of a private estate with an old 1750s mansion in Hagley, and I don't know how to say this, Worcestershire, Worcestershire, England.
Worcestershire?
Worcestershire? It's one of those.
All right, in mid-April 1943, I did actually find some dates in my research, but they're all really inconsistent, so I'm just going to say it was somewhere between like the 10th to the 17th of April, 1943. 4 teenage boys thought they'd sneak into the woods and do some poaching of bird eggs from some nests in the trees, which I guess was like prime entertainment in the 1940s, because it's like World War II. What the fuck else are you doing?
It's better than quarantine. Yeah.
Yeah, at least they can get out. I haven't seen the boys in ages. Missed the boys. Poaching
Poaching
eggs with the boys. Okay, so the boys were wandering through the woods, trying to find some bird nests when they came across a large wych elm. And if you don't know what that is, it's a tree.
What?
The wych elm looked to be perfect for a bird's nest. Why? I don't know. I've never actually gone looking for birds' nests, but it seems like the boys did, so I guess they might have probably known what they were doing.
They know what they're doing back then.
Yep, poaching eggs with the boys. One of the 4 boys, Bob, decided to be the one to climb the tree. I know that sounds like a fake name. His name was actually Bob. As he climbed up, he happened to glance into the hollow trunk, maybe seeing something like an animal, but was delighted to see something he could actually take, an animal's skull. So he retrieved it from the trunk and climbed down when the boys realized something. This wasn't an animal's skull at all. Noticing the hair that still clung to the scalp and the teeth, they were undeniably holding the skull of a human being. This story is Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm? I should say case. It is a story, but it's a true story. I want to emphasize that. It's not bullshit. So yeah, what would you guys do if we were out poaching eggs with the boys and we found this girl's skull?
Freak
Probably
the fuck
freak the
out, most
fuck out,
likely.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I'd probably be a lot more
Ben would
calmer than
probably
you are
cry.
because, nah, I'm fine with dead things. Brandon's the one with a phobia of it.
It's just you guys talking at the same time.
Brandon's got the phobia.
Let's do that again, because you guys
It
were just
happens in
talking
podcasts,
over
man.
each other
Let's
the
just
whole
keep it
time.
rolling.
Yeah, Brandon
saying
would
Ben
be
would
more
probably
freaked
cry
out than I
about
would
it.
be because
Alright.
Brandon would be more freaked out than I would be because he's scared of dead things. Whereas I would just probably go like, I'm not going to touch
I
it.
hate dead things.
But like, I'd be fine.
Like, in our case, I'd probably be the one climbing the tree, and I don't think I'd pull a skull out. I'd be like, guys, there's a skull in here.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, you just kind of tell
never
us.
find out what it
That's
was.
Like that dead owl we found. Yeah, you were just like, there's a dead owl in here.
Oh, the dead owl.
You did take a Snapchat
yeah.
of that.
Tell us about the dead
owl.
Oh, he did, yeah. I can't remember too well. We was exploring like the abandoned house during the day, and then Brandon climbs on top of the water tanks. He looks at it, he's just like, there's a dead owl in here, and he just sends me a photo because I can't climb.
So I'm the climber, but I also don't want to bring things back down with me. So
Yeah, I'm more of the moral support
wouldn't be in this
that's like at a
situation.
safe distance.
you don't even like go into the
Yeah,
abandoned
pretty
place.
much.
You're like waiting
Like a few
outside for the
hours.
boys to come back,
They're
hopefully.
like, oh, check out this abandoned thing. And I'm like, oh, this parking lot looks nice.
And then we'll try to spook you.
I really like the fence work that says no trespassers on it. I'll stay on this side. You guys have fun. So, well, these four boys, they decided to put it back. They were illegally trespassing, and, well, no one wants to be a part of this shit. So, Bob put the skull back, and the boys
on you,
decided
Bob.
not to tell anyone. And that's the end. whose story isn't it? No, the youngest boy, Thomas, was spooked as fuck, understandably, and told his parents what happened. I guess they got onto the police, and then police started their investigation. And their investigation found an almost complete skeleton in the witch elm. The skeleton had a single shoe, a gold wedding ring, and some clothing fragments. The most useful evidence was the skull itself, as it had some hair and a clear dental pattern despite missing some teeth. And like, you can see there's like a recreation. You can actually see a photo of the skull online, but there's also like a recreation of what her face would have looked like. And she's got some fucked up teeth. So it's pretty distinguishable.
All right.
So
You into
the
this?
skeleton. What's up?
I said, are you into it?
Yeah,
Fucked up teeth.
way into it, bro. The skeleton did not have a hand. However, the remains of the hand were found upon further investigation some distance from the tree. I don't know how far from the tree. They couldn't find that information, but I'm guessing probably not that far. I reckon if the boys didn't find it, what do you reckon? Maybe. This isn't interesting. I'm gonna keep going. After some forensic examination, it was determined that the body was of a female about 25 to 40, probably closer to around 35, who'd been dead at least 18 months, which means she would have died in or before October 1941. Suicide was ruled out as the police didn't believe someone would willingly climb into this tree. I mean, that was a ruling just by saying, oh, but she wouldn't have done that. Isn't really, if someone's planning on killing themselves, I don't think climbing into a tree would be
No.
that big of a hurdle.
It would be like walking
how
into a
old was the skull
room.
again?
Pardon?
This was 1941, the death-ish, roughly.
No,
October
do we know
1941.
the age of the? Do we know the age of the girl?
Yeah, I said she was about 25 to 40. She was somewhere in that region, but they were leaning closer to around 35.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she just climbed the tree and got stuck in there and couldn't get out.
Always a possibility. But
Maybe.
there is a further quote I've got here, where he said, the forensic examiner said, I cannot imagine a person getting into the tree voluntarily. Even a small person like this could not have got in without doing herself a considerable amount of tearing. Which, yeah, that's not a fun word.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun at all.
But if she's planning on killing herself, I don't see that as that big of a hurdle, to be honest. But, you know, they're the experts, not me.
Yeah.
But it's
I
also a
don't
weird
know.
way
I
to
can't
kill
comment
yourself
on that one.
being stuck in a tree.
It is. That is fair.
Like, it does feel
But
more
it
accidental.
could have been,
but
she just climbed into the tree. It's a skeleton. She could have just climbed into the tree and killed herself some other way that, you know.
maybe. It could just be like a game of hide and seek go wrong.
Anyway, suicide ruled out, so I guess we'll stop humoring that theory. So it was determined that she might have died from suffocation when the examiner found a section of taffeta fabric in her mouth. A description was given out to the public in hopes to identify the woman. Based on the size of the witch elm's trunk, it was also concluded that her body must have been placed while still warm after the killing, since she wouldn't have been able to fit once rigor mortis had taken hold. Police managed to get an idea of what this Jane Doe would have looked like, but due to the vast amount of missing persons cases during World War II, it was hard for any proper identification to take place. She was roughly 5 foot tall, had brown hair. They had the information on the clothes she was wearing. I don't have that information, but I don't see it being that relevant now because it's not like someone's going to go, oh, fuck, yeah, actually, I do remember what she was doing that night. I think she was wearing, like...
Let's just say a Hawaiian shirt.
Hawaiian shirt, yeah. Yeah, yep. Wife beater. Some Air Force Ones, maybe.
Kicking ass back in the 50s.
I do actually, I remember it being, something was striped and something was mustard colored. So, it was typical 1940s shit, that World War II get up with all the cool boys
some
wearing.
Averna stripes. Yeah.
Where was I up to? Here we go. She also had a very irregular jaw, which I've mentioned. She had overlapping teeth and a tooth missing, which the examiner believed was removed by a dentist in the year before she had died. They cross-referenced details with reports of missing persons throughout the region, but got nothing. They contacted dentists around the entire country and got nothing. But, resources were limited since World War II is raging on right outside. This is England, Europe's on fire at the moment. Here's where it gets a bit more interesting. The following year, in 1944, a message appeared on Upper Dean Street, Birmingham. A wall was graffitied with, "Who put Bella down the witch elm, Hagley Wood?" For the first time, authorities had been given some kind of name to work with. The graffiti was too high for kids to have just done messing around. It would have had to have been an adult, or at least a bunch of kids standing on top of each other.
Or a ladder was involved.
The message made someone come forward with information to the authorities that just months prior, a house nearby had similarly been graffitied with, "Who put Lubella down the witch elm?" Both vandalisms having the same handwriting. That's not a sentence. Both vandalisms had the same handwriting. And police began to ask anyone who knew a Bella who'd gone missing to come forward. Later that year, a message was graffitied in 2 separate nearby towns. All the information on what towns they were is online, but they're all those long English words that I don't want to say. Worcestershire,
Look, I learned the word Worcestershire from Shrek 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like some sort of sauce.
I know it's a sauce.
Oh,
Every time I see it, I'm like,
Worcestershire
can you pass
sauce.
the, can you pass
Excellent.
some Worcestershire sauce, please?
Yeah, Shrek the Third, man. Educate yourself.
Oh, the best of the Shreks.
Yeah. Educating kids.
Dear fucking God.
Where do you learn your kitchen vocabulary? Oh, from Shrek.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's where I learned what an onion was.
That's what an onion was. That's where I learned onions had layers,
like-
to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have known that otherwise.
No.
Anyway, this message that was graffitied in these 2 separate towns, which also appeared to match the handwriting of the 2 previous messages, both said, Hagley Wood Lubella was opposite Rose and Crown Hasbury. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
Sounds like a bad tongue twister.
Yeah. Hagley Wood Lubella was opposite Rose and Crown Hasbury. Anyway, still no record could be found of Bella or Lubella who fit the description. In 1953, so this is coming on 10 years since the body was found, police found the man who had been writing these messages, but came to believe that the man actually knew nothing about the case and was just being a little shit. He's just stirring the pot.
As you do.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, probably live in this boring-ass town in England. Nothing's happening. A body's found. Oh, that's exciting. People are talking about it for a while, and then eventually everyone kind of stops talking about it. You're like, well, I'm bored. Let's bring that thing back. Let's stir the pot a bit.
I mean, the war was over and, people needed shit to do.
Well, when it started, the war was still going. But now it's 1953. It's 10 years later. And for the first time in the 9 years since they've believed her name was Bella, they're like, oh, so her name isn't Bella. That was just some bullshit. But she's still been referred to as Bella in the time since, even though that was just made up by the Vandal. Because good a name as any, I guess, when you've got absolutely nothing to go with.
Yeah, I guess so.
And ever since then, the message has still appeared in the local areas, kind of just teens just kind of, being copycats and going, oh, who put Bella down the witch elm? It's fun. It's something to do. When, maybe poaching eggs isn't as good to do these days. Maybe you get in trouble a bit more than you did back in the 40s. Like, well, we can't poach eggs with the boys.
Yeah, so you're just going to... yeah, now we're just going to vandal shit with the boys. Let's go.
Let's start a gang with the boys. Witch elm gang.
Times have changed. Cut that
out. Anyway, so they're just trying to keep the local legend alive, I guess. It makes the area kind of exciting. I mean, if we were around the area, we'd probably go, hey, let's go check out that place. Let's go check out Hagley Wood. So yeah, the case is very much a cold case today, 77 years later, but there are many theories, some on the more supernatural side, and I'm going to get into some of these theories. So, first of all, the witchcraft theory. There are a few theories of who this quote, unquote, Bella might be. The most interesting theory to me, anyway, actually, as I was writing this, it was the most interesting theory. Then I came around some others, and I'm like, it's less interesting. I like the others more. But at the time I was writing it, I thought it was interesting. This theory was proposed in 1945 by anthropologist and archaeologist Margaret Murray from the University College London. Witchcraft and the idea of being killed by gypsies or devil worshippers. The idea that Bella had been killed by gypsies during a cult ritual. The ritual known as the Hand of Glory. And then I kind of went off track a bit and researched into this Hand of Glory because I was like, what's that? Well, I'm about to tell you, boys. The Hand of Glory...
I like a Hand of Glory.
The Hand of Glory is essentially like a traditional ritual from medieval times. Hands would be severed from hanged murderers. The hands were often used as charms in black magic spells, usually believed to help burglars break into buildings or people's homes. So ideally...
Never mind. Never mind, I don't want one.
Ideally, for the hand to contain its magic properties, it needs to be taken while the body still hangs from the gallows, or cut during an eclipse of the moon. It is wrapped in cloth, the blood is squeezed out, and it is pickled for 2 weeks in an earthenware jar with salt, long peppers, and salt pepper. So, nice
delicious
little recipe. Yeah, I struggle to make fucking toast, bro. So
No.
I don't know.
I
about
can't
this
even
one.
make 2-minute noodles, so that's...
That's the one thing I'm really good at. You should see my noodles, boy.
Oh,
Noodles with the
yeah,
boys.
right. All the way.
Once this ISO is over. All right. Then
Boy.
after it's pickled with these salt peppers and saltpeter. Whoa, that's a completely different thing. I was gonna say.
You got really excited there. Jeez.
Yeah, saltpeter. I don't know what that is, but I was gonna say salt, peppers, and salt pepper just seems a bit redundant. So.
Isn't Peter like a bread?
No, that's like PETA. This is straight up Peter. Peter.
As in like Peter Parker.
Yes, in Peter Parker. Rest in peace, Uncle
Oh,
Ben.
God.
Rip Uncle Ben gang. Sorry, Ben.
Died about 3 times in the past 10 years, man.
Yes, but dude keeps dying. What's up with
Stop
that?
it, Ben. Jeez.
So one way to dry it is in an oven with vervain, which is a herb believed to repel demons. And the other one is to lay it out to dry in the sun, preferably in the dog days of August. I looked up what that meant, and it meant the hottest days of August, and I remembered that this is all Northern Hemisphere shit. So it's like late summer up there, but I guess you could probably do it in just hot weather in general. I don't know. I don't know.
Why not? Yeah.
I don't know how important these what do you call them? Steps? Ingredients? That's not it.
Like ritual
Instructions.
stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how important it is. I mean, it's I don't know if you want to make a hand of glory.
I mean, if it's really important, just hop on an airplane and go up to Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, for us, I guess it'd be like February then.
Yeah. Shit.
So
No, it has to be August, specifically the 10th.
I did go to some like weather websites and found and like try to find any eclipses in 1941, since it was determined that she died in or before October of that year, and there was both a partial lunar eclipse and a total solar eclipse in September, which is early autumn, so it's still kind of warm. It kind of adds up if she died in or before October and there was, 2 eclipses in September. I don't know. Maybe this, what's her name? Margaret Murray was onto something. But like, as I said, the weather can still be warm at the start of autumn, but it's England, and I don't think the weather is ever warm in England.
No, they always bitch about it. Just like we do here in Melbourne.
But if the ritual can be done in England in August, then I'm assuming we can do it for like 90% of our year.
Yeah, pretty much. All we do is bitch about the weather down here too. It's all we got to talk about now.
Oh yeah, how's the weather, boys?
Loving it.
Can't go outside, but
heat is on inside home. Playing some Paper Mario. That's it. It's raining out there.
Oh yeah, Paper Mario, loving life. Next in the ritual, the hand is fitted with candles between each of the fingers. The candles, known as dead man's candles, are made from the murderer's fat, and the wick is made from their hair. Another method was to have the hand dipped in wax and light the fingers as the candles. Anyway, this is how you get the Hand of Glory. Lighting the Hand of Glory was believed to freeze people in their tracks and render them speechless. Burglars would light the Hand of Glory before breaking into a house, using the charm to keep the occupants asleep while they stole their goods. If the thumb refused to burn, it meant one of the people inside was still awake. The legend goes that only milk can extinguish the flames on the Hand of Glory. There was also a... You right?
I'm just imagining like a bunch of milkmen instead of firefighters rocking up.
Call the milk brigade.
He's got a cow's there, like milking it in the back of the truck.
So instead of Dalmatians.
Down like a hose.
I mean, they're spotted like Dalmatians. We're starting our own fire brigade, boys, but it's just milk.
We're the milkmen.
The milkmen.
Woo, woo, it's the milkman.
Anyway, there was also a counter charm you could supposedly use: the blood of screech owls mixed with the fat of white hens and the bile of black cats. Smear it on the threshold of your house, and the Hand of Glory will not work on your house. And just the listeners might not know this, but I have a black cat, so if any of you go near her, you're fucking dead, bro. Don't come near my Luna. But yeah, if you're really paranoid about someone using the Hand of Glory
all you need is her bile, though.
What's bile?
It's like stomach acid.
Ugh.
You'd know. Fucking weirdo.
Get your cat to throw up and that's it. You've got an extensive amount of bile.
That's easy. Just need to show her a photo of my ex.
I've seen that photo. It works.
Can we kick Ben out of the podcast?
Can we kick Ben out of the podcast, bro? He hasn't even had a chance.
Just a two-man show.
And I continue my research into the Hand of Glory, because why not? A few historical witches have used Hands of Glory in the past. In 1588, Germany, 2 women, good luck me, Michal and Besses, were accused of witchcraft and exhuming corpses. They admitted to poisoning people and these are definitely autocorrect.
Just make up some names, man.
What was I trying to say? No, it's not a name. I just don't know what I was trying to say.
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. So they admitted to poisoning people, and they were using Hands of Glory to immobilize them. In 1590...
Call the milkman.
Call the milkman. Milkman boys. In in 1590 Scotland, John Fian was severely tortured in his witch trial. He admitted using the Hands of Glory to break into a church where he performed a service to the devil. So does it work? Probably fucking not, since these people were all killed for being witches anyway, so clearly it's not very good. Or at least they're not very good at it. Maybe Bella's killers realized this and ended up leaving her hand in the fucking woods. I don't know. Maybe fucking Jane forgot to bring the hand back to their coven clubhouse. Who knows?
Jane, you fucked it up for everyone.
I don't know why it ended up being left in the woods, and clearly neither do the police. So, but the police did actually look into this theory, as there'd been a similar ritualistic killing of a man nearby. Margaret Murray believed it might have been devil worshippers, as remnants of witchcraft was still existing in England. I wrote was still existed in England. Either one. Maybe a blood sacrifice to the devil for better crops or some shit. Apparently there had always been talks of Hagley Wood being home to covens of witches, and there is an old tradition of imprisoning, this completely separate fact, there is an old tradition of imprisoning a witch's spirit in a tree to prevent her from doing witch shit. There were also indications that the tree had been occasionally trimmed before the body was placed inside, which stunted its growth. So someone might have been maintaining this tree and getting it ready for some kind of sacrifice beforehand.
Oh, God.
Okay, so that's a fun theory. Call him Milkman. So that's a fun theory of what happened. Would you guys like to try the Hand of Glory ritual and see if it works on our YouTube channel? Let us know, guys, if you want us to try the Hand of Glory ritual. We are going
It's probably going to happen.
We're going to need at least 2 deaths. So, Ben, if you'll do the honors of murdering someone so we can hang you as a murderer. And then we can hang him and try his hand.
Does murdering myself count?
Yes.
Does it? Would that count?
Do it.
Done.
Because then you can't be hanged. Unless you hang
Be
yourself.
right back.
I'm confused.
Yeah, no, like, there's got to be some loopholes. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, this witchcraft shit has to have loopholes.
Got to make sure we have milk, though.
Get the milk
But
ready.
is it almond milk, low-fat milk? It's like, do you need milk that just tastes like real milk? Or like, what type of milk is
just
it?
want
Goat's
milk
milk?
that tastes like real
Cow's milk?
Reminds me of that Hungry Thirsty ad.
Oak, kill hungry thirst, dead. Any international listeners will have no clue what we're talking about.
Search up the Oak ad of the guy like walking down the street. It's fucking great.
Yeah, it's like a milk called Oak, and the ads are pretty great. But yeah, I didn't mention this earlier, but we are going to start a YouTube channel, which will also upload this podcast onto, so maybe you're already on the YouTube channel. I don't know. We're going to try and do a bunch of cool shit, like ghost hunting and exploring abandoned places, maybe play some horror games.
Ben.
Movie reviews, horror movie reviews. That's Ben's specialty.
Yeah.
And we'll
That's what Ben wants to talk about, is just horror movies.
and we'll
It was good. Thanks, Ben.
I give it a
was
good
good.
out of 10.
Thank you for coming to my movie review.
But yeah, but we can try some spooky rituals and shit. So if you guys want us to try the Hand of Glory, you just need to tell Ben to kill someone. We'll get on it.
Ben will do it for a fee.
For a fee.
$5.
Just need to show him your
Do it.
bile.
Send your bile to the P.O. box at...
So then we've got the Nazi spy theory. Cue real cool noir music. If I didn't put it in, it's because I forgot. But hopefully there was some.
Woo!
That's going to be the most silent part of the podcast.
Just
Listen to that music.
wow, so good. Did he make it himself? Who knows? I don't know. What am I gonna do? Okay, so there was a man named Joseph Jacobs. I learned it was pronounced like Josef Jacobs because he's German. He was a German military intelligence agent and the last man to be executed in the Tower of London in 1941, fun fact. He was captured earlier that same year after he parachuted into Cambridgeshire and broke his ankle on landing. So he was pretty easily arrested by local defense volunteers. He's clearly a great fucking spy. But
what a bad day that must have been for him.
A photo was found on his person of a German cabaret singer, actress, that I shouldn't have paused there, a German cabaret singer, actress, and Josef Jacobs' lover, named Clara Barrow. Yeah, that's definitely how it's pronounced. Josef said she was also trained as a spy, and she'd come after him. So, again, great spy just revealing this information. So
it's not like how it is in the movies, Brandon.
Yeah, it's basically like, okay, I don't want to be hurt, please.
Yeah,
so,
Tom Cruise actually dies in the first Mission Impossible as a spy. The rest is just made up.
The second they pull out the pliers,
there's no torture, there's no nothing. The moment you get captured, it's just, okay, here's the list of everyone I know. Here's all our secrets. Here's the bomb codes. Thank you very much. I'll be on my way.
And now we'll fix your broken ankle.
You got me. I suppose I might as well tell you all my government secrets in World War II. But yeah. So was this Bella really Clara Barrow, who is also a super talented spy who parachuted into a tree and fucking died?
Man, just stop parachuting people. Jesus Christ.
Germany, you're not good at this.
That's why you lost.
So this was a highly believed theory until it was debunked in September 2016. When it was determined that Clara had died in Berlin on the 16th of December 1942. So, she never came after you, Joseph. I'm sorry. Or, here's another theory I didn't write down, but I did find interesting. Maybe Clara Barrow was just...
Yep.
Was just a World War II,
That's how you pronounce it.
It was just a World War II code name for German spies. Maybe some girls in the spy ring were just given that as a code name.
What a fucking hard code name to pronounce.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because we're white as fuck.
Probably.
Not that German people aren't white. I don't know. We've got very small vocabularies when it comes to foreign languages because our school didn't teach us well.
Yeah, I could do Italian. I don't remember any of it. I know how to say turtle.
Tell us, James. Tell us turtle.
Like Tortuga.
Beautiful.
Woo.
We're switching this podcast. It's now going to be an Italian learning podcast.
Ciao.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Buongiorno. Gelato.
Our goal is for this podcast to slowly evolve into a cooking podcast and then become a language podcast. And eventually, it's just going to be a meditation podcast.
We're just going to stare at you.
It's just going to be silent. We're going to say, all right, and now time to put all thoughts to rest and just meditate. Focus on your breathing. And then it's 45 minutes of nothing.
It's going to be 3 ugly dudes staring at you. Yeah.
What are you talking about? You guys are gorgeous. And I'm gorgeous.
Okay, 1 ugly dude then.
Oh. Okay. I'll take it.
Talking about Ben.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
What is this? All right. Another theory. German spy ring theory. This popped up in the early 50s and was that Bella was a Dutch woman named Clara Bella Dronkers, who was killed by a German spy ring because she knew too much. But there had been no evidence to support this at all. It was just a rumor. However, with all the secret operations and off-the-record schemes going on in World War II Europe, that doesn't necessarily debunk this theory. There's another minor theory that it was during an air raid. This was one of the earliest theories police had come up with. There was an air raid going on, just a bunch of war stuff. the woman ran to seek shelter in the woods and was captured and murdered by someone, and that her family didn't report her missing because she believed she died in the air raid, or it's possible she did climb into that tree hoping it was some kind of shelter. There are two more final theories, and these seem to be the most likely. The first theory comes from a report to police in 1944 by a Birmingham prostitute. She stated that another prostitute named Bella, who frequently worked on Hagley Road, which is the road the Hagley estate is on, obviously, she had disappeared 3 years previously in 1941. Perhaps murdered by a client or someone else who knew her. If this is the case, the vandal who graffitied the wall in Birmingham might have known the victim after all, and perhaps what happened to her. Another theory is this one seems the most likely to me. It came from a letter sent to police in the early 1950s, and this is how the letter reads. It's very cool. You will never solve the mystery. The one person who could give the answer is now beyond the jurisdiction of earthly courts. The affair is closed and involves no witches, black magic, or moonlight rites. The person responsible died insane in 1942, and the victim was Dutch and arrived illegally in England about 1941. It was signed Anna. The police eventually traced that the letter was from a woman named Una Mossop, however, and she stated that her ex-husband Jack Mossop had confessed something to family members. This is all before the body was found. Jack and his friend Van Rolt met for a drink at a pub in Hagley called Littleton Arms. Littleton Arms. I said that weird. There was a woman there who became drunk and left with them before she passed out in the car. The men put her in a tree in the woods in the hope that she would wake up the next morning and see the error of her drunken ways. Jack would frequently have recurring dreams of a woman staring out at him from a tree. It drove him into Stafford Mental Hospital, where he died before the body was even found by the 4 boys. So, it's pretty creepy.
Interesting.
I've also read that Jack was a Royal Air Force pilot. The first time I read this, none of that information was brought up, but I found it somewhere else. And there was a theory he was caught up in aspiring, which ties into the German spiring theory.
Where you crash into trees.
And that he was in the same spy ring that the woman was, and she was looking for intel on locations where future air raids should strike. Van Rolt was also apparently part of the spy ring. He was Dutch, and I don't know, racism, I guess. There's another version of this story where Van Rolt strangled the woman before they put her in the witch elm, and that's how she died. Could have been a combination of the last two, and the spy stuff is all bullshit, I thought maybe. Bella was a local prostitute, met the men in Littleton Arms that night in 1941. Jack and Van Rolt didn't approve of her drunken/prostitute lifestyle and wanted to scare her out of that lifestyle. They drove her to the nearby woods and put her in the hollow witch elm. She became trapped and died, or died for whatever other of the many reasons she could have, in a tree, I guess. Jack was haunted by either his regret and guilt or by the ghost of Bella herself. Ooh. And went into the mental hospital where he died. The body was found in 1943. Maybe the vandal knew Van Rolt and Jack and had heard their story before, and he had graffitied the wall. Maybe he wasn't involved at all, like police said. I don't know. Assuming both statements were true and not just made up, this seems plausible to me as like a combination of the two stories. And I'm just going to say it's the correct solution, and the mystery is solved, as far as I'm concerned. I'm happy with that, especially since we'll probably never really know the actual truth. And, at some point, Bella's hand just decided to fuck off into the woods to get some space, or whatever. Maybe some animals got to it, and, they dragged it away. And even though this remains an unsolved case, yeah, I'm happy with that. That's my story for today. I guess we have to draw our own conclusions if we ever want closure, since we're never going to get that. So,
I feel like Bob should have been in the story a bit more.
Yeah, Bob, man.
Missed Bob.
Perching eggs with the boys.
Needs more milk.
And So, like, in the last 3/4 of the century, police have lost Bella's remains, so we can't take advantage of modern DNA shit, so it's just all fucked now anyway.
Good job, police.
Good job, police. We're going to be saying that a lot if we're ever doing true crime stories, because you'll be surprised. Just, I'm sure you listen to the podcast, you're probably into true crime, and you know this already, let's be real. And yeah, I just wanted to end by saying, if you want to see pictures of the skull, facial reconstruction, the graffiti, and the witch elm itself, you can find all them online. You just have to Google who put Bella in the witch elm. They all come up, you know. But it's 1940s photography, so it's okay. And that's my story. Thanks for coming to my show and tell, guys.
What?
It's all right. Who's next?
Where did that come from?
Who's next? Which of you boys?
Mine is definitely not that long. You went on for a good 40 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd go that long.
10.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Mine's 10 minutes.
That's cool. All right. Anyway, I've always found that story spooky. I think I first heard it a few years ago, and it's just been one of those cold cases that I'm like, what the fuck happened?
It is just quite interesting, and just all the theories around it.
Yeah.
Like what people come up with too.
And so many of them just sound possible.
Yeah, like people get really creative too, and you just don't know. Could possibly be. There's a lot of evidence pointing towards any of them.
And the older the case gets, like you'll never know what happened. So it's like anything could be plausible.
And just as much as every theory has evidence going towards it, it's also got evidence that goes against it. So, anyway, who's next?
Yeah, you just never know. I really want to know.
That's the thing with cold cases, man.
Well,
Stay on your mind.
Ben, do you want to go rock, paper, scissors, man?
Sure.
Come on,
Rock,
let's go.
paper, scissors.
This isn't
shoot.
going to work. I'm going to say it because you guys are delayed from each other. All right, ready? Rock.
Okay.
Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, go. James won. What does that mean?
I guess... I don't know. I think that means Ben goes first.
Okay.
All right, let's just go. Ben lost.
We really should have set ground rules before
Yeah,
that.
this was not planned.
I mean, I can go. I don't really mind.
For the listeners,
No,
James did paper, Ben did rock.
I can go. Oh yeah, great visual jokes for an audio podcast.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, just a little bit of insight on us too. Ben loses everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, James's choice. James won. He chooses who goes next.
Oh, Ben goes first, right?
All right.
We'll end with my 10-minute story.
Okay, Ben, shoot, bro.
It's end on a high note. A lot of look forward to on James's part.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about amusement park accidents.
Woo.
So with over 335 million visitors per year at different amusement parks, most years there's over 1,000 injuries at a bunch of different amusement parks.
Damn.
But they barely go
That actually
recorded
creeps me out.
because they don't want that information getting out to the public.
Obviously, yeah. This is fun. I love theme parks.
That one always creeps me out. Oh. Well, I'm a bitch when it comes to those rides. You've seen me on it, Brandon. Just I just hold tight. Don't talk.
Dude just goes into full petrified mode, like someone's straight up using the hand of glory on this dude.
Yeah.
So
just grip
out of those,
life. That's basically what I do.
out of those thousands of injuries per year, how many people do you actually think die per year at amusement parks?
Maybe a quarter.
I don't reckon it'd be that
Like
high. I'm gonna say
specific number. Give me a number.
you've got a number.
Oh, okay. Let's say, so 1,000. I'm going to go less than a quarter then. Probably say
I reckon there'd be
100?
one. I'd say there'd be one incident every year or two, but there'd be multiple fatalities in the incident probably. So I'm gonna go with a 4.
Yeah, it's exactly around 4 people die from amusement park rides every
It's
year.
your boy.
There's just
I'm
over
way
50
off.
people that will die at amusement park rides in a 15-year period.
oh.
So over
okay.
15 years, only 50 people will die. So James overshoots it by 30 years.
Yeah, well, 30 years' time, I'll be right. Yeah,
They'd be a lot
I don't know,
safer
I
with their
just
milk.
I feel like the way you asked that question, I feel like there'd be like a lot of foreign countries where like they don't just say anything about
There's
it.
no
and like
safety
I was going to be
protocols.
surprised by the number. So it's just going to be like high.
No, it's like just like 4 people die every year. The number's not that high. It's just the amount of accidents that happen are very high. So you've got people get injured in the thousands, yet the fatalities only reach 4.
Let's say like maybe there's one
That's how theme
incident
parks-
every 2 years, 1 or 2 years, and like 6 people die in the incident is how I was looking at it.
Yeah.
So,
And most of the causes of death are like roller coaster malfunctions and derailments.
yeah. Understandable.
So it's like so many. I'll get into some notable deaths later on, but it's just, yeah, a lot of them are just, oh, we don't know why, but this roller coaster came off its hinge and then it derailed and killed a bunch of people. End of story. It's like dangerous.
Yeah, they don't like to get into it too much.
So
Just, yeah, it creeps me out hearing about them.
when do you think the last, like, major incident, like, death happened at an amusement park in Australia?
There was one that happened, I think it was like 2 years ago or something, wasn't it? At,
Yeah,
like,
Dreamworld.
SeaWorld?
Dreamworld.
Dreamworld, that was it. Did
It'd
someone
be
get decapitated?
it'd be that one. It was like a river raft ride that flipped on itself, and they got pinned underneath, and like with where all the they had the track that was also like tore them up.
So in
held
2016,
underwater.
actually, the Thunder
track.
Rapid ride happened at Dreamworld, Queensland, where 4 people were killed when their raft
2016.
when the raft collided with an empty raft, and it threw 2 people out of the raft, and it completely covered the other 2, drowning them beneath
Yeah.
it.
It's
Yeah.
I thought it was more recent than that. Jeez.
Nah, the
4 years
most
already.
Yeah,
the
4
most
years ago.
recent case was actually in 2017, where a primary school boy was critically injured after being thrown from a roller coaster carnival in Victoria, just in the Mornington Peninsula.
Actually, I think
Oh, shit.
that does ring a bell. I think I have heard about that one.
So yeah, when do you think the earliest recorded major incident happened at an amusement park?
Every time someone went to a theme park in 1910. When did theme parks
Yeah,
open?
whenever they opened.
Yeah, let's say 1887. Seems too long
1887.
ago.
I'm going to just Google it quickly.
I mean, I have the
1887.
answer.
I'll just say 1890. Yeah,
I
James,
want
like
the answer from the internet.
magic of
It's just a bunch of quarantine stuff saying like when are they opening back up? It just made
The
me sad.
answer is
so let's just
never.
not go into that. Ben, what's the answer?
The answer is
The answer is what?
actually October 24th, 1968. So it happened the first
1968,
major death at a theme park in Australia happened when a high wire stuntman fell to his death during a high wire act at the Royal Hobart show.
Hobart.
Hobart. At the Royal Hobart show, sorry.
I feel like I can disprove
I can't
this.
speak.
I feel like I do know one that was longer than that. Let me see.
This is something me and Bran have actually discussed before.
Yeah, I feel like we've discussed it. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, that was 1979. I thought it was way longer. All the photos are black and white, and I guess things were still black and white in 1979. It was like a fire on the ghost train at the Sydney Luna Park.
Yeah, that's
Jeez,
on
really?
my list as
Yeah.
well. It just wasn't the earliest. You're thinking of like Australia's most horrific accident. I'm talking about just the earliest death.
I thought that one was the earliest. I thought that was like a long time ago. I didn't
So-
realize it was as recent as 1979.
For people that don't know, at Sydney's Luna Park in 1979, a ghost train ride caught fire, and the train held 36 or 35 people on that train, and the ride suddenly started filling with smoke because a malfunction happened and it caught one of the foam pads on the ride on fire. So the ride started filling with smoke, and one adult and 6 children broke out of their seats to flee the ride, thinking that it would save them. And the ride actually exited with all the rest of the passengers being like somewhat burned. But the one adult and 6 children that broke out to try and get to their safety actually were found later on severely burnt to death. And the only thing that could identify them was their dental records, because they were just burned beyond relief.
Yeah, that's horrific. That's like legitimately terrifying. That's like, to me, that's more scary than a roller coaster malfunctioning, being trapped in just like a ghost train, which is already pretty spooky, and then like it just catches fire and there's no way out. Like, that's terrifying, which is why obviously there's so many fire exits
It's
now.
so heartbreaking that it's like they broke out of their seats thinking that it would save them, and that's what killed them. It's everyone else on that train just stayed on the train and were able to get out with minor injuries, whereas, breaking out of their seats is what killed them.
I mean, that's the thing you do, though. If you were in that situation and you saw a way to, you knew it was like on fire, unless instructed to stay still by workers, you'd probably be like, all right, let's get out of here as soon as we can.
Yeah, that's just creepy to think about, because that's exactly what I would do. I would try to break out.
Well, like, even being like a staff member comes with like a lot of risks. So in Disneyland, California in 1974, a staff member named Deborah Gale Stone died while hosting the animatronic musical ride America Sings. And like right as the attraction opened, it was like a week into it, she was actually crushed to death when she was caught between a rotating wall and a fixed one.
Yeah, this is the one I always think about when I think of theme park deaths. It's like literally you're in a theater. The premise is you're in the theater watching a show, and the theater rotates, kind of like in Jurassic Park, how like the seats rotate to the next stage.
Yeah.
And she was the narrator of one of the stages, and she got caught between the two. And they kept it open. They just reconstructed it so the walls would break before like a human could get crushed, you know?
Yeah. But it's like, could you, like, that would be such a like terrifying moment to experience, of like you're just doing your job and then suddenly you're caught between these two walls and there's like no way out, and you're just like seeing it as it's about to happen. That would be terrifying.
Well, apparently the audience didn't see it, but they heard her screaming.
Ooh.
That's a creepy detail.
That would be enough
really rough
to ruin amusement parks for me.
This is what Ben's here to do today. Ruin amusement parks.
Yeah, when we're out of quarantine, the world goes back to normal. Just don't go to theme parks, because Ben's going to scare the shit out
love
of you.
theme parks.
Well, like
It's the first place I'm going to go that's big money,
this one,
if I can afford it.
this one I found, and I'm like, this is why I don't help people. If you're in danger, you're on your own. Because this happened in Kings Island in Ohio in 1991, where a man had actually fallen into a pond and 2 Samaritans had gone into the pond to try and save him from drowning. And unbeknownst to them, there was actually a faulty underwater pump that electrocuted the 2 men that came in to save him. But the 3rd man that had fallen in was able to get out and survive.
Ugh. Yeah, the amount of wires and shit running around. Yeah, nah.
And it's what even a weirder coincidence is, on the same day that happened, just on the other side of the park, a woman was thrown from a roller coaster.
On the
Same day.
Jesus.
Bruh. Someone lost their job
Most
that day.
people consider
I don't know who it was.
the amusement park to be haunted because it's actually got a graveyard on the premise.
What theme park was this again?
Kings Island in Ohio.
Kings Island in Ohio.
You're adding it to your list to check out?
Oh, yeah, I'm down. I'm down to go. Especially if it's haunted. That makes it pretty spooky and fun. One day.
Yeah, that makes it way more interesting.
Right? Like you're going past, like you're on a
Overseas
roller coaster
haunted
going
trip for the
super
boys.
fast. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day we can get our channel to the point where we can afford to do that shit and film
Yeah,
it.
coming to you live from a haunted amusement park.
Yeah. Graveyard broadcasting from a theme park with a graveyard in it, an actual graveyard broadcast.
I just really wish we saw that decaying shark before those people ruined it.
Oh yeah, the decaying shark.
That would have been so good to see.
Yeah, tell us about it, James.
God damn it. What was it? It was like a was it an aquarium? An abandoned aquarium?
It was like a
an
zoo.
abandoned. Yeah,
It was like
some kind of
a
nature
wildlife
park.
preservation that had a aquarium
the one.
section.
So basically, who posted the article? So
Vice,
someone posted an article. Yeah, I think it was Vice. They always ruin it. So like a lot of people knew about it, trying to keep it like quiet and then to the community because like once it goes public, just vandals ruin everything. So there was a decaying shark sitting there, and vandals destroyed the tank and ruined it. Luckily, the museum was able to like actually take the shark away and keep it preserved.
It was in, I think it was in
we didn't get to
formaldehyde,
see it.
keeping it preserved. Giant great white shark. You can't keep these in aquariums because they always die if they're not in the wild. They just die. So
Yeah, formaldehyde's pretty dangerous to people too. So
And it's like, could you imagine
don't know
like
what these people were doing.
that wildlife preservation was like fully shut down, abandoned, and like people were just going in and exploring the place. And like, could you imagine like you walk into this house, like this like aquarium area, and you're just like walking around and you're like, oh, I wonder what's in this tank. And then like just a backlit shark appears in the tank and you're like
There is pictures of it, so like,
freaked out. Yeah, I
recommend.
strongly recommend looking up pictures.
yeah, they like broke into a door that was like sealed shut, and they were walking. It was dark, and then just the light hit the tank perfectly, and just a silhouette of a giant shark right next to them scared the shit out of them. It'd be awesome.
It's just we were like a few days. We had to go on the weekend because like a few of us were working during the week, and we missed out because by the time it hit like Wednesday or Thursday that week, we found out it had been ruined, and
Yeah.
they basically blocked it off so no one could get in because of the decaying shark.
Yeah,
And then
vandals, man.
they at least are actually able to preserve it, but we didn't get to see it.
So, also in Ohio, at Cedar Point in 2015, there was a special education teacher who reportedly dropped his cell phone and wallet while riding on a roller coaster. And when he got off the ride, he jumped the fence into the restricted area to retrieve it. And his head got struck by one of the people's dangling feet. And he got killed when one of the cars barreling down the track also collided with him, like when he got knocked to the side.
Imagine being that person who like you're on a roller coaster and you come and you ended up kicking that man's head.
I would freak out because like you wouldn't even know.
It'd probably break your ankle or something. Going the speed you're going.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, it's like, it's not like the first time it happened either, because like in 2008 at Six Flags in Georgia, there was a groundskeeper who was actually killed under similar circumstances when he was like attending to one of the rides, and he was struck in the head by the leg of a passenger.
But like, why do people do this kind of stuff when the ride's active? Like, I've dropped my keys before. I've just asked the person to like, go fetch it for me. Like once the ride's done.
Well, like,
Yeah. I guess they worry they'll just get in trouble because they weren't supposed to have it on the ride in the first place.
but yeah, like the situation with the groundskeeper, like you'd think that I don't know how long he was working there, but like he might have just gotten too familiar and felt too safe around things. And then, yeah, it's just once you get too comfortable, you stop looking out for all the smaller things, and then bad shit happens. With the like the guy who had dropped his wallet and keys, I assume that was just stupidity of like you jumped into a restricted section because you didn't want to get in trouble for having shit that you didn't
Yeah.
that you weren't meant to. So
Yeah, it's on that dude. Honestly.
Brandon doesn't remember this actually. Like we broke into like an amusement park, kinda. It wasn't like breaking into something, but there was security around, and Brandon does not remember.
What?
We're just like hiding behind the grass. There's like security everywhere. Like there was Ferris wheels, and we're trying to get as close as possible, and then you just don't remember.
Doing some urban exploring. No, that doesn't even sound remotely familiar.
You were there because like you were there because we always like just drive past something. We're like, oh, that looks pretty cool, and then we'll just stop and
Let's get a closer
dust
look.
it
Yeah.
out. Back then.
And
but like
Yeah, and you don't remember it every time I bring it up.
I definitely encourage people to do some urban exploring, but also do like don't be vandals about it.
yeah, don't ruin it for everyone.
Be respectful. Yeah.
But like at the same park at Six Flags in Georgia, in like just like 6 years after the groundskeeper was like killed, when like all of that happened, there was actually a 17-year-old that was on the Batman roller coaster ride, and he lost his hat, and he did the exact same thing as the other guy did, where he scaled the fence to go and retrieve it and ended up being decapitated by the roller coaster as it went by.
Oh,
Yeah. Humans are fragile, man.
decapitations freak me out.
Man versus machine. Machine's gonna win.
Yeah. I remember there was one time, I swear like my mum's friend was trying to get me killed or some shit. So there was this like ride in Phillip Island, and it was called the Claw. So I was going around and some keys like fell on the ground. We saw it. And my mum's friend, I was pretty young, and she's like, oh, go James, go get the keys. And I went to go get them. And my mum was like, no, what the fuck? He grabbed me back. Like, thinking back on it now, I'm like, what was that? Why was that person trying to get me to retrieve the keys? Trying to get me killed. It was like as the ride was going, and I was just like, yeah, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is that like you're never safe near a ride. And it's like, even like in Six Flags in New Orleans in 2003, there was actually a mother who was strapping her 4-year-old into a ride called Joker's Jukebox. And as she was like fastening him into the ride, another ride came around and was like spinning, and she stepped backwards and she got hit by one of the oncoming cars. So yeah, it's just like so much of this happens when like a ride is in motion and people just get too close. And it's like, nah, if you see a ride going on, stand back at a distance until you see everything around like in the area turn off, and then it's like, okay, now I'll get close.
Social distancing with rides.
Exactly.
Yeah, not wrong.
But no, there's
I
so
can't
much.
even imagine like
There's so much shit. Like Six Flags as a chain had the most deaths across the board.
Jeez.
Like,
There's a lot of Six Flags.
On one hand, I don't know why anyone ever goes to Six Flags. On the other hand, I really want to go to Six Flags.
Hell yeah. I've been to the New Jersey one. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't want to do it now.
I just love theme parks. Someone could tell me, you get on this ride, you will die. I'll get on the ride. Like, we guarantee you, this is the one where you die. I'll be like, yeah, but the line's short.
I don't know, like I remember just getting stuck on a Ferris wheel once, like it just stopped. And I was like at the top.
You mean how Ferris wheels stop?
Scarred me for a while. No, but like it was
The actual function of a Ferris wheel is to stop.
So people can get on and off?
No, I understand, but like for half an hour, like I've been on Ferris wheels before, it just goes around and around and around, but like it'll stop for like a few minutes to let the person on and then it'll go. But I was just stuck in that one spot, like right at the top for a good half hour.
There's one at Disneyland in California that has it has like the normal Ferris wheel things, and then there's like ones that are on like a track, so they slide, as the thing turns, and like it's so cool.
The only time I've ever been like hurt on a roller coaster ride was like at Luna Park, where that like the scenic railway, like the Great Scenic Railway that goes along like the edges at Luna Park in St Kilda, and it's like the most dodgiest looking roller coaster ever. That's like, this like, and like the entire time you're on it, it's like I feel like I'm gonna be like hurled from this roller coaster. This is so freaking not all right. And it's like the seats were like so pushed together that like I had to bend my leg out, and there was a metal bar along the side of the roller coaster, and then as we went down a dip, it like shook the car and my leg went bang against the metal rod and it cut my leg open, and it's like I spent the rest of the roller coaster ride with blood going down my leg, and I'm like, oh.
The scenic railway just looks like it hasn't been updated
Beautiful
since
view,
1910. Though. Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's built like shit though. Like I've gone and like sussed it out because I've like been to a few like car shows like right next to it. I just like look at the construction. I'm like, that thing's gonna break soon.
Oh,
it's always
so
down to
dodgy.
maintenance. Like always, I reckon the first 3 or 4 times I used to go to Luna Park all the time for some reason. The first 3 or 4 times I went, it was closed because like it's always closed if it's too windy or it's too this or too this. And I'm just like, if there's that many requirements and rules for having this thing running, it probably shouldn't be running.
Tear it down, please. Like it is built like shit.
Oh,
Like, the wood's all old. And
It's fun though.
It needs to be redone. That's like you look at it and it's like all of the wood is like corroding away and like all the paint's chipped off and like it's just
100%. It looks like an abandoned theme park from like Scooby-Doo or some shit.
Oh yeah,
It definitely does. It's the worst. It was actually open the other week.
Yeah.
Like,
was it?
In between like lockdown periods, it was just open. I wasn't expecting it to be.
Wow,
Don't know.
Well, I mean, coronavirus isn't the most likely thing to kill you at Luna Park.
True.
What is more likely to
I mean, it's
kill
not
us,
really
Ben?
likely to kill you anyways.
Segue opportunity.
I mean, you could be in the one in Sydney where it caught fire.
Oh, segue into one we've already talked about.
Yeah. I mean,
One thing I don't recommend doing is riding the pirate ship like 10 times in a row.
the funny thing is that like that is like the only recorded death to happen at Luna Park is the fire one. There've been countless injuries, but no like deaths have been recorded like on premises like that one. So it's like you can say like, oh, you walked out onto the street and then had a heart attack, but technically you weren't on the premises.
Fair.
Yeah, I feel like... Do you have to be a certain age to jump on like some rides?
It's a
So if you're
height
like
thing.
80, would you be able to just...
Yeah, I think it's just a height
Yeah, but
thing.
like... If,
Oh, there's like heart
Yeah, what if
conditions.
you're, like, 90 years
If
old?
you've got heart conditions or pregnancy
Yeah.
or anything. But there's not like an age limit. It's more
Recommended
just
not to.
a lot of people at that age would have conditions that wouldn't allow them on the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it up to like the person like
Oh, it's their own
at the
responsibility.
final line to tell them no?
And it's the responsibility of the
responsibility, 'cause I
person
feel
to
like-
say, "Well, I can't go on this ride because if the worker goes, but you're 100% pregnant, you're showing me photos of the what do you call ultrasound?"
Yeah.
Then it becomes their responsibility, I guess. I'm sure there'd be a bunch of safety requirements, like if you suspect them not
Well,
to
it's
be.
like we put a lot of trust in workers, but like in 2013 at Six Flags in Texas, there was a woman who was like strapped into a roller coaster called the Texas Giant, and the seats are only held in by a metal T-bar, and like when they click down, like you're meant to hear 2 clicks. And this woman was like saying to like the staff member, like, "Oh, I've only heard 1 click. Like, could you check this?" And they said like, "Oh no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine." And then the ride started, and they got up to a loop, and this woman's seat came loose because it wasn't fastened in properly, and she plunged 75 feet down to the bottom, striking a metal beam, causing her to be partially severed on the way down.
Jesus.
What's worse is that she was sitting next to her son as well.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So it's like...
What's 75 feet in meters?
The answer is 22.86 meters.
Okay.
Doesn't sound that drastic in meters. But
I went
in
with feet.
75 feet.
22 meters is pretty high.
Yeah. You still don't want to be plunged from it and then be partially severed while your son screams.
Yeah. It's not my preference.
I can't even imagine, Jesus Christ.
That reminds me, when I went to a theme park once, my sister, I think it was Dreamworld. she brought down the the wraparound thing, and then there's also a seatbelt that you can plug in as kind of like a backup. And her seatbelt didn't go in, and the ride just started, just freaking out the whole ride. and my mum was like holding her in and like screaming. I'm just sitting there like, this is hilarious, because it's just the backup. Like it should be there, but it's not a requirement.
I went to Vegas when I was 11. We went to the top of this like satellite tower, and they had a bunch of different. They had like 3 different, like. rides up there. One shot you up into the sky so you could look out all over Vegas. There was another one which leant diagonally over the edge so that like it brought you right down so that you could like you were facing the ground basically. And like if that ride malfunctions, you would just plummet straight to the ground. And like they did like a fake out thing of like, oh, you get like shot that tiny bit forward, and that gave me a heart attack. And it's like, the third ride was one of those of like, they like pull the thing down to strap you in, and then they give you a seatbelt. And then as you're sitting there, the ride spins around and it brings you off the side, and then the floor below you drops. So you're just like hanging and you're like spinning over like the entire city, again, looking straight down, and you're only being held in by those bars and a seatbelt.
Those fake out rides where it looks like you're about to fucking die scare the shit out of me. I did it once. So I was like on a ride with my dad because I wouldn't go on without anyone, and it looked like I was about to hit like the pole that like holds the whole ride up. Like I was about to hit it, and it just goes up instead. Like as soon as I was about to hit it, I'm like, oh. Scared the shit out of me. Straight up thought I was gonna die. I closed my eyes to accept my death. I was just like, in that moment, I'm dead, and then I just didn't die.
Oh, I'd be so freaked out.
I hate it. It's like, I'm not doing that again. Fuck that.
I'm gonna end my segment by talking about a amusement park that went viral in 2013 from a documentary dubbing it the most insane amusement park ever. And it's a place called Action Park, which is in New Jersey. And it was mostly like active in the 70s. So it's still around today, but it's like got a lot more safety stuff involved. But it's like in the heyday of like 1970s, it was actually nicknamed Traction Park because of the amount of accidents that happened there. And so the most dangerous attraction was called the Alpine Slide, which when they were like describing it, I was like, oh, it's essentially like the toboggan ride at Funfields, where it's like it was a concrete track built into a hill that sent visitors hurtling down in a car that was only controlled by a handbrake.
Oh shit.
So it's like essentially just the toboggan ride at Funfields, yet like with a lot less safety involved than it currently has now. And so it was essentially like the birthplace of like all of those horror stories you heard about from your like mates at school when like you were like talking about that ride of like people would go down and they'd fall off and they'd lose massive chunks of their skin. and it's like they'd have to be rushed to hospital because their heads would break open, and like this was basically the birthplace of all of those horror stories. And it's like all of the staff members here were like Friday the 13th level like camp counselors of like no training, and it's like all the pools were so shallow that you could easily like dive in and crack your head open, and like among 6 deaths were recorded across the park, like that involved an electrocution at a kayak ride, a drowning at the wave pool, and it's like a lot of like heart attacks on roller coasters and in like the pools in general. And it's just like a lot of people, like there was multiple incident reports that were like filed against the amusement park because of how dangerous it was. And then it was like shut down for a period to like implement all of these safety stuff. And then, yeah, it is still open to this day with a lot more safety restrictions now.
Jesus.
I want
I can't even
to show
imagine.
you a photo from Action Park. That's always the first thing I think. This is insane. If you Google Action Park, it is the first photo that comes up. It's this really long slide. It's like a water slide, and it does a little loop at the end. And I'm going to show you boys how ridiculous it is.
What?
Like that's so fucking fucked.
What the hell? Like, how does that even work?
I mean, I'd love to do it. I feel like I'd be hurt.
It's not long enough that it's not that long, but it's got this really big loop at the end, and it's not long enough for you to get enough momentum to go around the loop.
No.
Is that still a thing?
No, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't think that was. I don't even know if it even opened. But if it did, it pretty much got shut immediately.
The size of the people in that photo too.
Yeah, I know, it's a very small slide, but the loop is huge, and it's like, what? How could anyone do that? You're just going to get stuck in it. That's the only thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how do you even get out of that? Like once you're in it.
No, you have to go the whole way.
Fuck?
They're going to have to open it up and get you out like that episode of The Simpsons. I remember get stuck in the tube.
Like I don't know who thought to build that, like the architect that made that.
Probably straight out of uni. Probably was a uni project from one of the kids who were a bit slow.
Oh, you know what? This slide's too basic. Put a loop at the end.
I want it to be a fun slide. So we're going to make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah,
straight.
For anyone that wants to know more about that, the 2013 documentary, The Most Insane Amusement Park Ever, is all about Action Park. Take it away, James.
Every time I hear Action Park, I think of that bloody movie from that guy.
All right, James.
What's his name?
Creep us out with some creepypasta, brother.
Yeah, okay. So I found this one really interesting out of all the ones I did read. So it's about this blind girl. I think blind girl. So she lives with her father on a ranch, and basically he punishes her whenever she talks to ghosts.
Oh, you're not going to read it?
Okay.
Oh, you're going to? I thought you just going to give us the synopsis. All right.
It's
No,
really
this is just
spooky, I swear.
It was good out of 10.
It's got a 9.12 out of 10. So basically it starts off, so this girl's explaining that she's been blind since birth. As she grew up, everything was described to her in such vivid detail. She didn't even realise that it was important to really see, especially when having no reference to compare it. So she lived in a single floor ranch house. Basically that's what her father told her. So in her mind, of course, I'm not even reading this part. I'll read it in her perspective. So in my mind, of course, I could see, although unlike how a sighted person could. I had spatial awareness. I knew where my bedroom was, where the bathroom, living room and kitchen were. Each wall had its own texture. I don't know if that was done on purpose or if I could feel things others never noticed. So she rarely fell over, only if her father or one of the visitors put something somewhere they shouldn't. It was usually the other visitors and fathers who would shout. So they had visitors, but quite infrequently, and only briefly when they did visit. Father said she shouldn't speak with them, that it unsettled him. He'd worry when I saw him. I can't even read properly. He'd worry when I saw something he didn't, saw it with my own ears or by touch. So Ellie was the first person that she heard. She seemed very sweet. She asked me by name and why my face was
stop.
so messed up. Keep that in note though.
Luna!
What's your cat doing?
Fucking being a fuck.
What's your
Luna,
cat
come here.
doing?
Come here.
The cat's too spooked by this story.
Oh, sorry, you can continue.
She take her equipment. It's not even creepy yet. Oh. So your cat like mucks around. My cat just sleeps all day.
My cat bites and scratches me. Be lucky.
I don't blame
Luna,
her.
apologise for interrupting
Live with you.
James. Please, talk.
It's all good, Luna. I'm not even that interesting anyway.
We got you, bruh.
So this girl named Ali was the first to appear. She was in the living room. I could hear where she sat from her breaths, harsh nasal sounds, as if her nose was blocked. When father had a cold, he'd always breathe through his mouth, big laboured breaths, as he wasn't used to it. So she had a lot of people come over, mention her face, and why she always touched it, trying to work out why it was so strange to them. So when she asked if she could touch their faces, people always paused and just looked at her like all weird and stuff. So Ali let her touch her face, but the dad comes in and she's like, "Who are you talking to?" And she's like, "Nobody." And he would always punish me when I spoke about them. I think it scared him. He'd take my arm and march me off. I'd knocked off balance and disorientated. So he would go outside and pretty much chuck her out there and like spin her around in a circle. So she wouldn't know her way back home. So look, just out in the field. Because she's blind, she doesn't know the way back.
Right.
So she'd have to like
fucked up.
sit there and wait for like a car to pass so she'd know which direction the house was in.
That's shitty.
I couldn't imagine in the eyes of like a blind person, just like not knowing where to go. Like you've got all this spatial awareness, you know where you live, and like you know everything inside your house, but just to like go out into something new and just not know anything.
Why don't they just do what Daredevil does? Just hear and smell and feel everything.
Why don't they just adapt echolocation and just
Yeah.
start shouting into the wind to see if...
That's how it works. That's how Daredevil
Well, like
did
in
it.
the show, with like vibrations off the wall, he can just feel it and hear it. He's like, "Oh, there's a wall there because I can hear the vibrations." It's like, nah. But like, yeah, in like a random field, you're not going to know where you're going.
It's true.
So basically, she ended up finding her way back to the house and heard Ali that evening.
Evening. Good evening.
Weird little accent.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So Ali whispered to her, saying she was scared, and then I whispered back, but she didn't hear. So next morning, she asked father about Ellie. He didn't want to talk about her. I asked him why, he didn't reply. When I told him that she asked about my face, he asked me how I responded. I told him I wanted to touch hers. He laughed, though I knew he wasn't happy. I could hear the difference when you laugh for pleasure, your mouth is wide open. When you pretend, your mouth is almost closed. To me, the difference is obvious. It wasn't until I was older that he explained. He said we lived in a very special place, connected to the other world, in quotation marks. That sometimes dead people slip through. People who died in pain and wanted to reach the living. He explained that because I couldn't see, I was able to tune into that. That they knew I was listening when others weren't. He said I had to ignore it. Otherwise, he told me they'd latch on and never leave me. All the dead want to do is be alive again, he said. It was dangerous and they would trick me. He said he knew how to deal with them, but he couldn't help if they became attached to me. So Alex appeared to me a few years later. She told me she was lost and didn't know where she was. I told her I wasn't allowed to speak to her. Still, she pleaded for help. I kept quiet. Knowing what would happen if I said anything, did you speak to them? The father asked. Although I was upset, I told him no, I wish I could help her. I knew what it was like to be lost and it scared me. Alex didn't whisper to me at all. I'd ignore her and she ignored me. Father saved me and I was thankful. So the father's really, really creepy in the story. So after Alex, I knew what I needed to do, so I did it. The spirit stopped bothering me after that for a very long time. That was until Sarah appeared. Sarah didn't give me a chance to be quiet. I was on my own, sitting in the living room and listening to the television. All she could hear was help. She's like, I need to find a way out. So I stayed silent, and you can just hear her. Can you hear me? Can't you? She asked, surprised. I'm not allowed to speak to you, I told her. Like, screaming, please, I'm scared, I'm lost. I want to see my daddy. I gripped the arms of the chair and told her I wasn't allowed. He's dead, she said. I didn't answer. Your father is dead, she said again. I wasn't going to fall for it. I heard banging from around the room as things began to fly, and the shelves began to shake. Stop it, I shouted, and it did. Please help me leave, she said. I wasn't going to talk to her. I did the only thing I thought would help. I unlocked the front door, hoping she'd run out and get lost, just like I would do. When I heard from her no more, I locked the door and sat back down. I listened intently for any signs she was still there. Except for the sounds of the TV, it was silent. I hated when my heart raced. I became all too aware of the tick-tock feeling of the rise and fall within my chest, like it was about to explode. When I heard my father's voice, I screamed. Son, he said, I need your help. I think I'm dying. So it was a boy. I was wrong.
Oh.
I thought it was his daughter.
What a twist.
All right.
What a twist. All right, twist ending. Let's end it there.
God.
Right, that's how it ends. There you go.
I know I prefaced
Big
this by
twist in the
saying
story.
daughter, but it was a son.
Hyped it up, just disappointed you guys. I'm sorry.
No, it was good, man.
No, it's not done.
Oh, I thought that was the twist ending.
It's not done.
But you lied to me.
No! It's much better twist. That one
Okay.
that I just said. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they're actually a
There's no
cat
twist
now.
ending. Yeah, there's no twist ending. That's just it. So she runs into the room. I did what he told me to do. I didn't speak. If he did die, he'd never leave me. Instead, I raced out into the open air and shouted for help. I shouted until my voice was hoarse. Horse is
Nay.
spelled weird in this. I don't know. Hoarst. R-S-E,
That's how
sorry.
you spell
Yeah.
horsed. That is how you spell it in that context.
That is correct.
Yeah, I know. I've never seen it spelled
Oh,
like
fair.
that.
With an
Oh my
ST
God,
at the
okay.
end.
I'm learning. S-E. I fucked up. So, basically, running out for help, I heard the sounds of cars racing along the road in front of my house. I shouted until I heard someone respond. It was a woman. What's wrong, they asked. I told them I think my father was dying. They asked what had happened to my face. I pleaded with them to help me, and they promised they would. So, sat down on the grass. Sometime later, the woman returned to me and asked if she could hold my hand. I'm so sorry, she told me. I heard the sounds of sirens and a lot of people rushing. I asked what was going on. The woman said she was there for me. As the noise died down, a man asked me a question. I'm a paramedic, he said. What happened to your face? I told him I was fine. He asked if I was sure, and I told him I was. He asked if I minded him touching my face. I said it was okay. So, a moment later, I felt a pressure release from around my forehead, and the air felt cold against my skin. It sounded as if we were peeling an orange. I imagined that in my head and worried he'd expose my insides. I screamed and asked what he was doing. He told me everything was going to be okay. And the woman squeezed my hand, telling me to be brave. I didn't know what it was that I was experiencing. I felt a tight pain within my head, like when you smash your shin against something hard, followed by something I've come to understand as bright. Smashing your shin against something hard, that reminds me of what happens to Ben
Just blood all over the roller coaster.
on the roller coaster.
Oh,
Bleeding leg.
I am the subject of this story. I've been blind the entire time.
Poaching eggs
Yeah,
with the
you're the boy.
boys.
There you go. Yeah, twist ending, it's actually Ben.
Yeah.
And a lot
Hi.
of twist endings.
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. Shyamalan. What happened to your eyes? The paramedic asked. I said I was blind. He asked to check them. The pain returned when he examined them. Do you know him? The man asked a woman who had helped me. She told him that I had been screaming for help and that she had to come to my aid, but this isn't proper English, I swear. So basically, how long have you had your eye injury? The paramedic asked. I told him I'd been blind from birth. He asked me if I could see his fingers. I told him no. He asked if I could open my eyes. I said I don't know what he meant. He asked if I could open them for me. I didn't respond. Then I felt fingers on my face. Fingers covered in something rubbery. Suddenly, it became bright again. I screamed. So, she wasn't blind.
Her eyes were closed.
Yeah. I don't understand how that kind of works though. Like, was he... How did he keep her from, like, having her eyes closed? His eyes closed.
He said he peeled something, so obviously there was, like, some kind of blindfold, or...
Was it like a
Yeah,
prosthetic,
actually, I guess that makes kind
like,
of...
stuck onto their eyes? That was like,
I guess
they
that
had to,
kind of
like,
makes
peel
sense
it
now,
away.
'cause, like...
Here's my story. I don't
'cause they
understand
kept
it.
the people-
Can you guys explain it to me?
No, but, like, I read through it and I was like, maybe we can all talk
Yeah.
about it and, like, what you think. So... I was kind of just, like, thinking, because, like, a lot of times they ask, like, what's wrong with your face? So I'm just guessing maybe the dad from, like, birth pretty much stuck something to their
Yeah, he was,
face.
like, cooking some
Yeah.
breakfast, and he
that's
tried to
true.
flip the eggs, and they went the wrong way and stuck to her face. He's like, just tell her she's blind. This is too embarrassing.
Dad, why can't I see like the others? Just shut up, you're blind, alright?
But yeah, I guess it was like some sort of like domestic abuse type thing of like, oh, I just like, I want to make sure that like I can keep you where I want you. So like, I'm going to make sure that you're blind and helpless type situation.
Yeah, I guess so. This isn't the end, by the way. Just to let you know.
Great.
It's like, it's not just, okay, she's not blind, that's it.
So many twists. She's actually
Yeah.
been deaf the entire time.
It's like, what is sound?
Can you open your ears? What? So basically, after this, it just goes on about like how she started to see, but like everything was kind of like a blur. So she was told to keep an eye mask on for most of the day, only taking it off at night at first to allow her eyes time to adjust. I keep saying her because I keep thinking
It is
girl
a
now.
him, isn't it?
So it's
If it's in
him.
first person,
It's a
you can
boy.
just read it in first
So-
person.
I know, but I keep just going offbeat, so we're gonna have it in a first person and a different perspective.
For us, it is a
I've gotta keep
daughter
it
because
interesting, Brandon.
we've established that now. That's
Yeah,
what's
it's
in my
the
head.
image that was
Yeah,
stuck
it's
in our
been
mind.
established. That's
So
it. It actually contradicts the whole story a lot, though. If I go, it's a daughter, so I should probably just stick to the first person perspective.
all right.
So basically, I was placed in custody of my aunt and uncle, and didn't even know it at first. They were shocked at what happened to me, and that I never attended school. The past few years have been a roller coaster ride. The doctor said I may never have perfect vision, though what little I have is God sent, and I'll take what I can get. I've only recently been learning to read and write, so I apologise if my English isn't the greatest. The best I can do. There you go. Explanations to the shitty English on this thing. I've been asking my aunt what happened to my father, but all she says is that he died of a heart attack. I asked what sort of man he was. She says he was her brother, and she'll love him no matter what. My uncle doesn't want to talk about him at all. So I've been using the internet. I've been using the computer a lot recently and really enjoyed the internet. I can't believe such things exist. After being so lonely for so long, I can talk to whoever I want, when I want, though I'm wary of that. After all, how do I know if I'm speaking to is alive? No one seems to share my father's concerns about that. Today I was on a forum discussing the spirit world. I was so happy to find people who I could relate to, and someone curious about my username sent me a link to an article on a true crime website. It was about my father, and mentioned me by name. They asked me who I was, and if I was the same person. According to the article, my mother had gone missing soon after my birth. It said I'd been bound so that I couldn't see, that my father was always wanting a daughter. They found 14 bodies in the basement. They said one got away, a girl by the name of Sarah Frank. She was the one to call the police. They found father's car parked around the back of the house. They supposed he carried his victims into the basement via the storm entrance and left them there. Sarah had managed to get away after she agreed to be his daughter following 4 days of sustained torture. She stabbed him with a knife he placed on the counter to butter some toast. That's what I find weird, is how she killed him with a butter knife.
I don't even butter things with a butter knife anymore.
It's just like, is he going to use like a razor sharp knife to
Only use kitchen knives, bro.
spread some butter?
Kitchen knife. The big one. It's more
Like,
intimidating.
I've read this story a few times and I've kind of just accidentally closed it down, and there's still more to it. But the butter knife was just like, it threw me off a bit. I was like, really? But yeah, so the father always wanted a daughter, so he kept bringing young women into the house, begging them and torturing them to be his daughter and killing them if they wouldn't.
That's fucked.
And me saying it was a girl from the start kind of contradicts all that, so we had to be sure it was a boy.
Whoops.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh shit, no, I should just say, whoopsies.
Oopsie doopsies.
Spooky.
Hey, it's my first time.
That's the first
alright?
episode. It's gonna be rough.
Don't know which hole to put it in. Okay. So basically, there's only like a slight bit left. I didn't want to believe it. Am I not sure? And I'm not sure I would have if it weren't for the names of the victims, two of which stuck out. So you had Ali and then Alex. I'd spoken to them both in the living room. To this day, I wonder if my father had been honest with me about a single thing in his life. Throughout it all, one question remains above all others. Did I speak to Ali and Alex before or after he killed them? And that's how it ends. So you don't know if she was actually connected to the spirit world or not. Leaves it kind of open.
Very spooky, very creepy.
Spooky.
Yeah, I thought it was quite creepy. I obviously am not a good reader who could read that out properly.
Alright, we just started. It's
we got
episode
there in
1.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll learn to read by episode 2.
Alright, well, that was episode 1 of the Graveyard Broadcast. Hopefully it wasn't shit. I guess we're still trying to figure it out. The next one won't be as long as this one, but I figured that the first episode we should all have a story. Then for future episodes, one of us picks a topic, and then the other two have to do a thing on it. We rotate. So yeah, next week's topic is Australian stuff, and I'm not sure who's doing the stories. I'm doing one. Who's doing the other one?
I don't know, we'll figure it out. Discuss between
All right,
them.
we'll figure it out. And
tune in to find out.
cool. So thanks for listening, guys. We should probably make some social medias. If we have made them by the time this episode goes live, they'll be in the description. Music, editing, and stuff by me. Also artwork by me. I'm Bran Reid. Joining me,
James Averna.
Ben out.
beautiful. And I also want to just quickly plug that I make music as well. You can find my music on any of the digital services, Apple Music, Spotify, as Bran Reid, or I also have a lot more music under the name Deck of Hearts. I'm going to outro this with just a sample of one of the songs. If you like what you hear, please give it a listen. All right. Stay spooky, my dudes.
Bye-bye.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Is this dead? And you said no, 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 no. Take it back just like you do. All of this built up for you.